And we are live. Hello, and welcome to the Wonderful World of Hedgehogs. I'm Dylan, and I'm so pleased you could join me this evening to celebrate the launch of this year's Hedgehog Awareness Week. Just a few words about what's going to happen over the next hour. I'm going to take you for a little tour of my garden and show you how to make gardens hedgehog friendly. This will include looking at a feeding station, a hedgehog house, and of course the wildlife cameras. I'll also be showing you some of the footage of hedgehogs in our garden, which my night vision cameras have picked up on, including all sorts of behaviour. In a little while, I'll be joined by Grace Johnson, who is the Hedgehog Officer at Hedgehog Street, and she will also be with me to answer any questions you might have. So I hope you'll find this event interesting. If you do have any questions during the event, it will be very helpful if you save those until the Q&A session at the end. But please, when you're ready, do put your questions directly in the live chat box, which is accessible to the right of the screen on desktops, and if you just take it out of full screen mode on your mobile, there's a little button which says live chat, and you can type your messages in there and type your questions in there. So the chat will run throughout the event, that'll be activated. So if you do have any technical problems receiving the data from the stream or the video, or anything freezes or anything, please do just let me know during the chat, as obviously if there's something goes wrong, I can be able to fix it quickly, hopefully. So first of all, just a little bit about me. So I should probably say, just for those of you who don't know me, so my name's Dylan, I'm 14 years old, and I live in Monmouth, South East Wales. I discovered we had hedgehogs in our garden when I was sitting out with my mum one day on a break from homeschool during lockdown. We heard these strange noises coming from a pile of leaves and twigs, and it sounded like snoring, and sure enough we discovered much later that evening that it was indeed a hedgehog. I was really curious about hedgehogs, as this was the first one I'd ever seen, and I wanted to learn as much as I could about them. Almost 1 year on from that discovery now, I'm now a local Hedgehog Champion, supported by Hedgehog Street, which is a wonderful charity set up by the British Hedgehog Preservation Society, BHPS, and PTES, which is the People's Trust for Endangered Species. I have my own website, which you can view online at hedgehogaware.org.uk, and which has also got a link in the YouTube channel as well if you click on the About section. And this week I have just started launching my campaign to reduce the number of injuries and deaths to hedgehogs due to garden strimming. So a little bit about hedgehogs, just before we start. So some of the key facts I've learned about hedgehogs in the last year that I think are really important to mention today relate to the steep decline in numbers. In the 1950s, there were thought to be around 30 million hedgehogs in Britain. In 1995, that number had reduced to 1.5 million, and in the last year, it's now thought to be below 1 million. We've lost over half of hedgehogs from the countryside since the millennium, and a third from towns and cities. They now actually appear on the red list as vulnerable to extinction. And there's no one reason why numbers have been declining in this way. But it's thought that things like use of pesticides, intensive agriculture, over-gardening, things like paving, decking and fencing being put up in our gardens, and of course roadkill, all have their part to play. I know this is obviously a bit of a bleak picture, but one of my main reasons for running this event is to let everyone know that we can change this and make the curve go the other way, helping our hedgehogs not just survive, but also thrive. So I think it would be a good idea, first of all, before starting the event, just to take you into my garden, and we can start by looking at all the things that can be done to make gardens hedgehog friendly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to switch over to the live feed from outside in my garden. So the screen will go black, and it will go sort of a red-black colour for a maximum of sort of 10-15 seconds, and then you should be able to see me in my garden. Any problems, drop me a message in the chat. But I'll see you in a moment outside in my garden. Thank you. Hello again. So now we're out in the garden, which is lovely. And I'll take you on a quick little tour of every little feature in our lovely wildlife garden. So the first thing to mention here is we've got our little table, which is what we use for planting and things. And you can see we've got our little banner up, especially for Hedgehog Awareness Week. So be Hedgehog Aware. We've also got one out the front of our house, which encourages local residents to be hedgehog aware, which is absolutely wonderful. Now you see here we've got some plants here that we're going to plant soon. So some evening primrose and some teasel as well, which is lovely. And that's going to look really nice in our little wildlife garden patch where we plant some plants. Now coming back around this way, you'll be able to see our little patch here, which is fairly wild. So this is part of obviously the wildlife gardening. So we've got a bit of lavender, which is lovely in the summer when it comes out. And we have a lot of other plants and things that we just sort of let grow, and it's wonderful, and the hedgehogs do come around here as well. And then coming around here, you can see where the plants may go. Maybe some places for the plants to go here, or anywhere else really in the garden. So there's a little pathway here which we can walk down to come and show the first hedgehog house. So this is one of our hedgehog houses. So this one we purchased online, and it's a lovely house. It's very popular with the hedgehogs. So I'm not going to open it up today because we may even have a hedgehog inside sleeping. We've had quite a lot in recently, especially over the past week or so, and they tend to make it their home. There's a little mound in there of grass, and there's hedgehog. You can see where the hedgehog has been in the grass and the straw inside, which is lovely. So that's our first hedgehog house over there. And then to the right of it, you can see this little hedgehog highway. So this is where the hedgehogs go through. This is a 13cm gap in the fence, meaning that the hedgehogs can travel through to neighbouring gardens, which is so important as they can travel a good couple of kilometres in one night. They're good travelling creatures, so they like to be able to get through to gardens, which is great, and it's good to be able to make sure that they can do that. Now, if you look here, we've got some wildflowers in our grass. So we've got just let it grow really. So these are grown naturally, those white flowers you can see, and we've got some dandelions and things which are again very good for the environment, for bees and for hedgehogs as a source of food from the insects and bugs. And then you see here we've got a little planting area. So we're planning on planting some native wildflowers here, just within the grass, and that will be lovely, and they should come out, which is nice, and that'll be great for nature in the garden. Coming back around here, back through the garden, you can see we have a little pathway here which goes to the compost area. So this is sort of a compost area that we've created, with a compost bin in the middle, which is fantastic for building a compost pile, which is not only good for the environment and good for reusing and not wasting things, but also it's excellent for the hedgehogs, as lots of insects and bugs will love the compost, and they'll come, and that'll be a great natural source of food for the hedgehogs. So it's really important, if you can, to try and start a compost pile in your garden. And then coming back along here, there we go, you can see we've got a bit of more wild space with some dandelions by the fence, which is lovely. And you can see it's very popular for hedgehogs, and it provides good covering for the hedgehogs. Here, and then back over this way towards the hedgehog house, but if we look to the left this time, we'll be able to see in this little wild patch here, in between these sort of wooden bars, this is one of the most popular areas with our hedgehogs. So there's some excellent covering here, and not only is there excellent natural covering, but we've also built our own log pile. We installed this last year, and we sort of just made it naturally from leaves and bark of trees and logs and things, and the hedgehogs love it because all the beetles and the insects that they love as part of their natural diet come into this log pile, and then you see the hedgehogs on the cameras snuffling around, which is really lovely to see. And there we go, that's a main sort of thoroughfare of the hedgehogs. So once they've come out of the hoggy highway, they'll come through, down and back around towards the bottom feeding station, which I'm going to show you in a moment. There we go. And then we've got the grass there. Ooh. Got one of our cats as well has come out to be on the live stream. Hello, Merlin. And there we go. Hello. There we go. So note as you come along here across our patio, firstly the multiple bowls of water that are placed. We've got about 4 or 5 of them actually across the garden, and that's really important for the hedgehogs, the water, seeming as sort of a natural source
because you know they need to have water put out for them all year round. Really, it's almost more important than the food, really, because they can get really dehydrated. And then talking of water, we have our little wildlife pond, a small garden pond which we made from sort of an old washing up bowl. And it's lovely. We just put a bit of natural rainwater in it, some little pebbles and some oxygenating plants. And what's happened is it's created this lovely sort of wildlife habitat. So last year we had tadpoles in here. And then this year we've got all sorts of things flying around and floating in the pond, which is great. Do note, however, that we've got some rocks at the back of the pond. Now, this is very important for the hedgehogs, because hedgehogs are good swimmers and they do definitely like swimming. However, it's so important to make sure that the hedgehogs can get out once they finish swimming. Oh, there we go, the cat's come back in again. So it's so important to make sure that the hedgehogs can get out. So make sure if you've got a garden pond, it has some sort of ramp or exit path made of stones or wood or something. And then as we come along to the feeding station, you can notice within the cracks in the tiles on the within the cracks in the tiles on the patio, we've sort of left this to grow wild, and lots of things grow here, some flowers, some grass and things. And it's really nice because it provides sort of a natural food source. There's a little bug beetle running around there. And what you get is, you can see on the night vision cameras when we set them up around this area, that the hedgehogs love running around here, and they'll be snuffling in the little cracks for anything they can find really to eat alongside their supplement that we put out for them. And that perfectly brings us along to the feeding station and water area. So this gets very, very popular with the hedgehogs. So you can see here we have got this feeding station, again, which was one we purchased online. It's a great feeding station, and I'll show you the inside of it now. So it's nice and secure, this one. It stops other wildlife, maybe cats and other animals, from getting inside if you know you have them in your area, because of this. Oh, there we go. So this is, the hedgehog will come in, and they love this, and they can just go around the corner and find their food, and which will be left here. Now, normally this would need cleaning out every morning, but for the purpose of the film, I've left this hedgehog food dish out for you to see. So you can see you've got the crumbs there in the dish, which is where the hedgehogs will have eaten some cat biscuits that we've left out. And it's really important to make sure that obviously you're putting out the right type of food. So sort of cattle dog food and cat biscuits that have got a good portion of meat in, so not too much cereal, along with the water, which is obviously crucial to their survival, because they can get quite dehydrated. And there we go. So the crumbs are always an excellent sign that a hedgehog has been in and visited, and no other animal has managed to get in and eat the food. But there we go. That's one of our feeding stations, and that gets very popular. Now, coming over this way, you can see we've got a little area here with some ivy and things, and the hedgehogs love running through here, and they run all the way down and across the patio. And it is a very popular area indeed. You know, you can probably see things like that. Oh, hello. Very popular indeed. There we go. We've got some hedgehog poo there as well, which is being left. So that's sort of probably dried out now, but there we go. That's like a dark slug. So keep your eye out for that in the garden if you think you may have hedgehogs. And then finally, one thing I'm going to show you related to hedgehogs and the sort of what happens if you find hedgehog in an emergency situation is our homemade rescue box that we've done. So we've adapted a standard cardboard box and made it sort of a hedgehog emergency rescue box, which is quite simple to do. And if you do know you have hedgehogs in your garden, I'd probably recommend you sort of having something ready in case of an emergency, if you know one could be ill or something. So in here we've got some padding, first of all at the bottom, so some sort of old tea towels or linen or laundry and things that you can just use to pad it down for insulation and sort of coziness and warmth for the hedgehogs. We've got gloves here, which is how you will pick up the hedgehog, because the hedgehog will be curled into a ball. When they're scared or when they're ill, they'll curl into a ball, which makes them easier to pick up if you know they're very unwell. And if they're out in the day, it means they're not okay. So, you know, don't interfere with hedgehogs at night, but do make sure if you see a hedgehog out in the day and it's not moving with purpose, so it could be like a mother hedgehog moving around looking for nesting material, or a hedgehog that sort of lost its nest, and then it should be okay if it's moving with a purpose. It it can be quite hard to tell, but the general rule is if it's out in the day, it's not really okay, and you should, check it out. And if it's sat still, or if it's, breathing funny, or if it looks ill, just get it to your nearest rescue centre using this kind of box, which takes us back to the box. So once you've put the hedgehog in, there should be it'd be great to put a little bowl of water in there. It's not a good idea to put food in, especially if they're ill, because give them a bit of an upset stomach or something. So it's important just to put a bit of water to keep them hydrated during the journey to the rescue centre. And we put a little hot water bottle in. So this is just wrapped in, and you can fill this up with sort of warm water, so obviously not too hot, but just make sure that provides heat and insulation, which is lovely. So once you've got your emergency hedgehog rescue ready, and if you do ever come across a hedgehog, you can put your gloves on and scoop it up after consulting your rescue centre, pop it in there, and then we use it like an old tea towel or something nice and soft, and then fold this out, and then make sure it has some cover. So sort of lay it over the hedgehog. If the hedgehog was there, there'd be more of a hedgehog shape in there, but sort of lay it over the hedgehog for protection and cover, so it makes it seem a bit more like they're in some kind of in a safe habitat, really. And we can just fold that one up for now. There we go. And that's sort of our emergency hedgehog rescue box, which is a good idea to sort of prepare something like that if you've got a hedgehog in trouble at any point. And then the final thing I'm just going to talk to you about quickly outside is wildlife cameras. So we have a multitude of different wildlife cameras in our garden, and this is the first time. So this is the trail wildlife camera. So this one is waterproof, it's excellent, and it's very good at picking up motion detection night vision. So you can just open it up and control it from in there, and the footage is stored on an SD card inside. And it's got a camera and microphone with night vision and motion detection. And you can buy these online. I'm happy to talk about wildlife cameras more in the Q&A session later as well, in terms of where you can buy them, how much they are. But these ones aren't too bad. You can pick these up from around starting about £35. And they're good for capturing footage of hedgehogs or any other wildlife in your garden. And then the other type of wildlife camera and night vision camera we have in our garden are these. And these are made by TP-Link, the technology company, and they're the Tapo models. This is the C200, and this one is very good because it pans and tilts 360 degrees and 180 degrees up and down. So it's excellent, and it's got a very good quality camera on it, and footage is saved onto a little SD card inside. And these, bear in mind, these do plug in. So if you've got an electricity supply like we have outside or near to the garden, it's good. They're actually quite a good price. You can get them for about £20 to £25 online each. And we've got another one of those cameras over there. So we tend to change the positions of our cameras a bit, make it a bit different, and see what you can get, really. See different bits of footage in different areas of the garden. And that, there we go. So that really concludes our tour of my garden. Oh, there we go. Merlin's out again. Hello. He likes it in the garden. So there we go. What I'll do now is I'll come back inside and have a quick chat and show you some hedgehog footage, and then we'll proceed with the event. So thank you very much for coming to the tour of the garden. I'll see you back inside in a moment. The screen will go black in a few seconds, black or red, and then I'll be back answering some questions and having a chat. So thank you very much. Thank you. There we go. Hello, welcome back. I'm back. So I hope you enjoyed that tour around my garden. There was plenty to see, and I hope that it gave you some ideas about things you can do to make your garden hedgehog friendly. Now, I did say that during the event I was going to show you some footage from my night vision cameras of the hedgehogs which visit our garden. So I have that ready for you now. So what I'll do is I'll play this footage. It's about a 5 or 6 minute video, and it combines different things. So I'll pause it occasionally and just tell you what's going on and when we're moving topics or moving different hedgehog activity. But as I say, there's lots of action in this video, from bouncing to courtship to feeding, and sort of generally hogging around hedgehog activity. So I do hope you enjoy watching this little bit of footage which we've done from our night vision cameras.
So again, the screen will go black for a moment, and I will get the footage ready for you. Thank you. There we go. You should be able to hear me now. So what I'll do is I'll just start playing this footage now. There we go. So the first bit of footage we have is actually, you can hear it if you listen. If you listen carefully, you might be able to hear a bit of it. So the first bit of footage we have is actually of a hedgehog, which is just sort of snuffling around the patio. Now I mentioned earlier about the importance of about the importance of, there we go, about the importance of having the gaps in the patio and sort of leaving that to grow. And as you can see, this hedgehog is really enjoying snuffling around looking for insects and bugs. And then on to the next one, we've got some more snuffling. They do get quite close to the cameras. And up next, there we go, you can see there's a hog. Little bit of short footage. You can see the hog on a bit of a mission there, walking through. And now we come to our feeding stations. So this one was a hoglet. And if you listen carefully, you'll be able to hear him as he comes in. So there we go, that was a little hoglet in one of our older plastic feeders. And there's a little bit more footage of them eating now. And if you can probably notice, if you just look underneath where their spines are, where the prickles are, you can see they're actually quite fluffy. And they sort of got quite fluffy skirts, hedgehogs and hoglets. And a lot of people don't know that, and it's lovely. They're lovely creatures, and they're quite fluffy underneath. There we go, and now the hoglet is having a drink of water, again sort of showing how important that is. We cut to a big hedgehog now, so an adult hedgehog, who's having a great time in the feeding station. This is a slightly longer clip now, so I'll leave you to enjoy this this hedgehog eating, coming a bit close to the camera. There we go, he's having a good time there, isn't he? So just a quick introduction for the next clip, so this was our old feeding stations that were made of makeshift plastic crates. And you'll see in the next video clip the importance of the L shapes on the new feeders that we purchased recently, the wooden ones that I showed you when we went out to the garden. And it shows the importance of having this 13cm hole, otherwise things like this might happen involving cats. So this is our cat Merlin, who was famously featured on the video earlier in the garden. He's trying to get some food, but he's struggling to fit in. But he can do it. So if you do make one of these feeding stations, it's important to keep the food well back, or purchase an alternative feeding station, really, if you want to keep the cats out. Now, this is some courtship, or some play activity. So this is people, hedgehogs circling each other. And as you can see, they can be quite boisterous. Especially as we'll see on this next clip. So this hedgehog is sat enjoying his food, and look who comes. And he's completely bounced him out of the way, so we call that Hedgehog Bouncer now. There we go, there's a hedgehog walking across the lawn. Ooh, bit more feeding action. And finally, with this hedgehog enjoying the lawn, so enjoying the hedgerows and the natural grass that's let it grow, showing the importance of that. Oh, sorry about that there, but I can just wind that bit back to show you the last bit of hedgehog coming across the grass. There we go. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm just going to turn that one off. One moment. And there we go. I'm back. So I hope you enjoyed that bit of hedgehog footage. And you know, just showing the different types of behaviour and things in the hedgehogs. So what I'm going to do is shortly we'll be joined by Grace Johnson from Hedgehog Street. She's not here yet, so what I'll do is I've actually got a bit more footage for you if you're interested in seeing that. And this was actually very, very recent footage. So if you want to, I'll bring this footage up now, but if there's any footage you would like to see, a repeat footage of that, again, maybe like the courtship or something, do let me know and I can wind that back and find up some more footage of that for you, if you want to. I'm just having a look at the live chat, and there's some lovely message in there, so thank you, Emily. I'm glad to hear you're watching with Ava. So hello, Ava. I'm glad you love hedgehogs and learn about that, and they are really interesting to learn about. And thank you, Daphne, as well. I'm glad you're enjoying the event. You know, I hope it's good. And Laura, I will answer your question pretty soon now, but just when Grace gets here as well, so you can get a proper professional answer as well on that one. So any questions, do feel free to keep putting them in the chat and I'll answer them later. So I'll just show you some footage now, which was actually from last night, so very, very recent footage indeed. And this is of some hedgehogs enjoying the patio. And then if you do want any more footage while we're waiting for Grace, please do pop something in the chat and I'll see what I can get for you. Okay, thank you. There we go, so I'm just going to share my screen with the footage, and this is from last night. There we go, you can see a hedgehog that was in our garden last night. I've got one or two more actually for you. So let me just share that one again. The next bit from last night. So there we go, that was the hedgehog in our garden last night. As you can see, that was actually today. That clicked over to the 2nd of May, which is today. And I've got one more little bit actually from today. There we go, which was at 1 o'clock in the morning this morning. There we go, that's lovely. So that was some hedgehog footage from last night. Thank you to everyone for their lovely, kind messages. That's great. I'm glad everyone's enjoying it. Ava, I think we do have some footage of baby hedgehogs. So in that video that I showed you, that I played earlier, I'll just find that bit for you. Grace is about to arrive, actually, which is fantastic. So that's good timing. But what I'll do is, especially for you, I'll just put you some hoglet. So a hoglet is a baby hedgehog, and here's some footage of a hoglet entering the feeding station. Keep an eye, because you'll see them, they're much smaller than the hedgehogs. They don't take up the whole gap. There we go. So that was some footage just of a baby hedgehog there. So I hope you enjoyed that. There we go, back on me. So Grace has just arrived, so I'm just going to admit her to the live stream. Hold on. Okay. So there we go. Grace is there. I'll just let her know that we're ready. Lovely. So what I'll do in a moment is just turn my camera off, and then I'll go split screen with Grace, so you can see myself and Grace. So bear with me one moment.
Hiya. Good, thank you. Perfect.
There we go. So you're now live on a split screen with me on YouTube.
Hiya, thanks for having me.
That's all right, not to worry. So as I say, I'm now very pleased to be able to say hello and welcome to Grace Johnson, who has the brilliant title of Hedgehog Officer, working at Hedgehog Street. So Grace, thank you so much for your time in coming along this evening. It's really good to have you here, and I know you'll be staying on for the questions and answers shortly. But can I just ask you to tell everyone firstly just a little about Hedgehog Street, please, and what you do there?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So first of all, hi everybody, and happy Hedgehog Awareness Week. It's the first day, of course, of Hedgehog Awareness Week, so very exciting stuff. I'm hoping my connection's going to hold here because my internet can be a little bit sketchy, but I'm hoping you can sort of hear me all right. Just give me a wave if not. Yeah, so I work for Hedgehog Street, as you said, Dylan, and we are a joint project that's run. It was set up by two wildlife charities. It's the People's Trust for Endangered Species and the British Hedgehog Preservation Society. The project was set up back in 2011, so it's been running for 10 years now. It's our 10th birthday, so we've got lots of exciting things planned. There's lots of different things we do as part of Hedgehog Street. It's a very kind of wide-ranging project. I've actually got a slide of information. I don't know, am I able to share? Sorry.
Indeed, if you just want to do it, if you want to share a slide quickly, if you can share your screen, that will come up in the same way on YouTube as it would.
Oh, okay, perfect. Are you able to enable the
Oh, yes,
sharing?
hold on. There we go, go for it.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, let's see if this works. Are you able to see that slide?
One moment. Yep, there we go, Hedgehog Street, since the year 2000.
Yes, that's the one. Oh, I'm trying to make it a bit bigger. There we go. Yeah, so this is just a slide from a talk that I did recently about hedgehogs on roads, but I thought it was quite nice. It's got a few pictures along the bottom there just to kind of outline a little bit of the work that Hedgehog Street does. It's a bit nicer than just sort of looking at me in my living room with the window behind me. Yeah, so we do lots of different things as part of the Hedgehog Street project. As it says in the top point there, we know that we've lost half of rural hedgehogs and a third of urban hedgehogs since the millennium. And the declines have been going on obviously for a long time. So Hedgehog Street was set up in response to these hedgehog declines to try and raise awareness of the problems that hedgehogs are facing and the ways in which we can all help. So the first picture there is basically an event that we attended. So in normal times, we do attend a lot of different events, chatting to people about hedgehogs and the things that people can do, really just trying to raise awareness. The next picture along there is myself and a colleague helping out with a camera trapping research project. So as part of the project, as part of Hedgehog Street, we do help out with and support a lot of hedgehog research. There's a lot of really interesting things being covered in terms of hedgehog research. There's a lot of different kind of factors in the decline of hedgehogs. So what we're trying to do is to understand what's going on and look at the potential solutions and test those as well. So that's a really interesting thing that I'm able to get involved with. The next picture along there is a course that we run. So it's a hedgehog ecology and land management course. And they're always really good fun. We get a lot of different, lots of different people, different walks of life coming to those. So people like ecologists, developers, people from local wildlife groups, people from the council, people who manage sort of local parks and green spaces. A real kind of range of people come to those sessions, which is great. The next picture along there is because we work with Chris Grayling, who's our MP species champion. So most recently we've been working with him to try to increase the legal protection for hedgehogs. Because the protection that they have at the moment isn't quite doing the job. They're protected, but they're still declining. So we want to really try and see that legal protection increased, ideally. And then that final picture there is an interview that I did on the radio. So just generally, we do a lot of work to try and raise awareness, as I say, of hedgehogs. All of the easy, simple things that people can do in their gardens. All of the fantastic things that that you're doing, Dylan. All these lovely changes that you can make in your garden, and you're going to see some hedgehogs. And then, finally, a lot of what we do is talking to our hedgehog champion. So obviously, Dylan, you are one of our fantastic hedgehog champions. So we are currently on, I think, over 93,000 registered hedgehog champions. And that's people who signed up, pledged to help hedgehogs. We're trying to reach 100,000 hedgehog champions in our 10th year. So if anybody's not a hedgehog champion, please do have a think about signing up. So
very impressive.
You get access. We're doing quite well. So we're hoping to get to that 100,000 mark. That would be the perfect birthday present. So if anybody's able to help us there, it's free to sign up, and you get access to lots of different resources on the website to sort of help engage, friends and neighbours in Hedgehog Street. There's a forum on there, so you can ask questions, you can chat to other hedgehog champions. You can submit pictures and stories on there as well. So it's a little bit like hedgehog social media. That's how I like to say it. It's just a nice community of hedgehog champions, just sort of sharing the love of hedgehogs, basically. So it's really, really nice. I'll come back to the chat there. I'll stop sharing. But that's just a bit of an overview of what we do. But there's a lot of different strands to the project. So I find that in my hedgehog officer role, no 2 days are the same. So
that's great, thank you. Well, thank you very much for obviously doing that and coming. And one of the things I was going to ask you was how many champions do you have registered? So that's perfect. And obviously, if anyone wants to sign up, if they do help hedgehogs, and I say again, if you don't want to sign up or anything, I think you've got the big hedgehog map on your website as well, which is great.
Yes.
Which is great for logging.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that.
I've logged mine.
So we run the big hedgehog map as part of Hedgehog Street. So we encourage people to log sightings of hedgehogs when they see them. So if you're really lucky and you see a live one wandering around the garden or a park, you can log that on there. Or if sadly you've seen one that's if it's died or if it's roadkill, it's really sad, but you can sort of make that a positive thing by logging it on the map, because all of that information helps us to understand the distribution of hedgehogs in the UK and how that might be changing over time. And we share all of that biological data with local record centres as well. So it's really important just to log those hedgehogs when you see them. So thank you for logging yours.
That's all right, no problem. Thank you. That's wonderful. So just quickly, what would you say was the one sort of, if you could pick one thing or just a couple of things that sort of the most important things people watching this could do to help hedgehogs in the UK. So obviously if you've seen one, you can sign up on the Hedgehog Street. Is there anything, sort of any particular pieces of advice you would give yourself, just you know, briefly or anything quickly?
I think the main thing, if we could get everyone in the UK to do one thing for hedgehogs, it would be hedgehog highways. It's giving that access into your garden. It's so important. We know that gardens are a really good resource, and that actually hedgehogs, I think people think of hedgehogs and they think, oh, they're out in the countryside, but actually we know that they're faring a lot better in our towns and cities. You know, our gardens are such good resources for them. So we want to connect up gardens, link them to other gardens, to local parks and green spaces, and just give them access to, you know, all of our lovely long grass, or the shrubs, or the insects and things that are in our gardens. So I'm sure you've talked about it. It's just holes in fences. I wasn't able to put a hole in the fence, so I dug a little channel underneath. You can get a little bit creative. And yeah, about the size of a CD case, 13 centimeters up and across, and that's just going to provide access. And if we can get as many of those as we can and create a hedgehog street, and that's going to be really beneficial for them. So yeah, that's
absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hedgehog highways are of course something very important, and I went out a bit earlier on the event and did a tour of my garden and showed the 13 centimetre gap we have for the hedgehogs, and just illustrated how important that is.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. And it is hedgehogs.
Perfect.
You know, if you can, as you can say, I love that. Create a hedgehog street within your street, wherever you live. You know, that would be absolutely wonderful. So Grace, thank you so much. It's really good to hear about the work of Hedgehog Street. So what I'm just going to do now is flip back over here, and we'll start our Q&A session, because we've got about a quarter of an hour left until the end of the event now. And it's now time to take your questions for Grace and myself to answer as best as we can. So fire away. I've got a live chat open here, so I'll be able to view the questions, read them out, and we can answer them as they come. So
sounds like a plan.
Okay, we had some put in earlier, and then we've got some just people typing them in now, which is fantastic. I can see. So let's start. We've got a question from Laura, which is saying, can I feed a hedgehog fruit, such as chopped apple? Do you want to start off, Grace, or should I do it? Up to you.
You go first, then I'll just add in. I feel like you can sort of cover these.
Okay.
You're an expert.
Yes. So can I feed a hedgehog fruit? I think the best thing to do, dried fruit, first of all, should really be avoided. You know, things like apples, bananas, berries, and melons and things, as well as vegetables, aren't particularly good for hedgehogs. I think it's kind of best to stick to the sort of meaty cattle dog food, or cat biscuits or kitten biscuits, and water as well. Obviously, I kept mentioning this, but you know, I'll keep mentioning it again. Water is so important for the hedgehogs all year round. You know, just to make sure they don't get dehydrated and that they can survive and thrive. But in terms of fruit, you know, it's one of those things people might say, oh, hedgehogs love bread and milk, but no, don't feed hedgehogs bread and milk. It's not at all good for their digestive system, or anything indeed. But I'd probably avoid dried fruit, or fruit if I would personally. I would stick to the hedgehog food, so like meaty cattle dog food, or biscuits and water. I think that will go down best with the hedgehogs.
Yeah, definitely. I would completely agree with that. It's tricky, I think, with sort of when I'm out and about chatting to people. A lot of people are saying, oh, well, can I feed them this, can I feed them that, and everyone's sort of got something slightly different that they feed them, so it's quite difficult to provide a list of what not to feed them. So it's best to stick to what we do know is a good sort of complete hedgehog food, and it's going to be a really good supplement to their natural diet. So that's that meaty cattle dog food. Kitten biscuits as well. I don't know if I'm allowed to say certain brands, but Tesco kitten biscuits are meant to be, they're not just, I'm not being paid by Tesco, but they're, a lot of people say that they're really popular and hedgehogs really sort of enjoy them. So yeah, just stick to those things. Shallow dishes of that clean water as well, like you say, because we've got a bit of rain at the minute, but I mean, the last couple of weeks has been, really, really dry weather. So it's so important just to put that water out for them. That's going to be a lifeline. So yeah, stick to that meaty cat or dog food and the fresh water, and you'll have lots of happy hedgehogs.
That's wonderful. Yes, I was going to say, just in terms of food, obviously to stick to that kind of diet. I was saying some people do buy sort of hedgehog food. I've got a packet here which is made by Riverside, which is sort of premium hedgehog food. This stuff's good, but you know, you've got to be careful with some of them, especially now. Some websites, some brands, not necessarily the most well-known brands, so sort of like Spikes or Riverside, but a lot of brands, you've got to be careful. Avoid things like mealworms or sunflower hearts and things, because they can slip their way into hedgehog foods, and they're no good for hedgehogs. But yes, but best bet is sort of kitten biscuits or something awesome. I saw in my video in the tour of the garden, the hedgehogs had been in last night, and they'd had some kitten biscuits and they left some crumbs, which is lovely.
They're quite messy eaters.
They are. Thank you, Grace. Laura says, hang on, I just got to read this one. How about fresh chicken? And then so I think if there's something else you want to say, do let me know. Can you feed hedgehogs fresh chicken, Grace? Not sure.
Again, I would just stick to that pet food. I mean, it's really tricky. A lot of people ask us all these different things, and these things might be fine, but we're not able to kind of test, you know, all of these things to see the effects. So the things that we do know that are sort of beneficial for them and that are going to give them that sort of complete supplement to their diet are those, it's those meaty cat or dog food. So yeah, best just to stick to that, really. We sort of unfortunately can't kind of check all these things, and I think with a lot of human food, what you get is that they're quite kind of salty, or there's a lot of sugar in them, which you sort of wouldn't think of, but actually, you know, something like that's going, you know, it's not going to be great for hedgehogs. So yeah,
got to think about the nutrition,
that recommended stuff.
Yeah, the nutrition of the hedgehogs. Yeah, that's great. So moving away from food for a moment, we had another question which said, we currently only have one hedgehog living in our garden. Is it normal for them to be on their own? I would like for him or her to have a mate. I think, just first of all, if I just quickly say, with you know, with hedgehogs and mating, you're at the right time of year now. The May start to see courting and that sort of behaviour. It can depend on how many hedgehogs you have in your area, but they normally will come in groups. I don't think you never normally see a hedgehog on its own, living in a street on its own. There would be a family of hedgehogs somewhere, and there would be a nest somewhere. That may not be in your garden, but it could be in another garden. Hedgehogs can travel, you know, a good couple of kilometres in one night, in fact, which is why the highways are so important. Yes, I think in terms of, you know, having with the mating and things and the courting, keep your eye out. If you do have cameras, deploy the cameras in places that you know they tend to go, the hedgehogs, and they will start, you know, courting and things. We had ours are starting sort of earlier, and then you'll get the hoglets. And then if you do find that you have a successful birth with the hoglets, you won't see the hoglets out for a good few weeks, first of all, because they stay in their nest, nice and safe. But you will see them out at some point, like I showed you on the footage. They'll start to look more like adult hedgehogs then, but they'll just be smaller. So I think, you know, just give it a bit of time, see if you get other hedgehogs in the area. Is that what would you say, Grace?
Absolutely, yeah. So they are naturally solitary animals. So first of all, if you've seen one by itself, don't worry. It's not sort of lost or lonely or anything. They are naturally, you know, they don't sort of live in small groups. They do kind of live separately, but there'll be a lot in an area, like Dylan said. So yeah, they're very mobile at the minute, and it is, you know, we are in the mating season at the moment. So yeah, you've got a good chance of they're roaming around specifically looking for mating partners, and they do mate with multiple partners. So it's a very active time of year. So you want to be looking for basically the females kind of sat there and the males sort of circling her and making all these loud sort of huffing and puffing noises, and that's the courtship. So that's what people want to be looking out for at the moment. But yeah, if there's a hedgehog, you know, if you've got one hedgehog there, there's going to be more. It's not just going to be a sort of single one. So. And they'll travel to find each other. So yeah, keep an eye out for that courtship and some hoglets a few weeks later as well.
Yeah, that's absolutely. I was going to say, I've got some lovely videos of courtship and things like that, and they can be quite boisterous. It is loud. It is loud. You hear them on the microphones, on the cameras, which is lovely. There we go. So thank you very much. I hope that answered your questions. Please do put any more questions in the chat if you have them. I'll give it a moment for anyone to put something in. So thanks very much, everyone. I'm so glad you're enjoying it. I've got some lovely messages here. So it's absolutely wonderful. And I hope you're finding the event fun. Thank you again to Grace, for coming along as a hedgehog expert. And
thank you for running the whole session. It's such a good idea. It's kicking off Hedgehog Awareness Week with a lovely information session. It's showing everyone around your garden, all the lovely things you've got there. So yeah, really well done to you as well.
That's all right. Thank you very much. Yes, it's a happy Hedgehog Awareness Week, everybody. It's fantastic.
Happy Hedgehog Awareness Week.
Cheers. It's fantastic, really, Hedgehog Awareness Week. It starts today and ends next week, obviously. We've done some things locally in our community, so giving out leaflets. Just a reminder that there is plenty of information on both the hedgehogstreet.org website, where Grace works, and my website hedgehogaware.org.uk, which is linked on the YouTube channel. There's also little colouring activities I actually put on the website on HedgehogAware for children to do and things. If you wanted to do that tomorrow, I gather it's going to be some horrible weather, some weather warnings coming in, so across the entire UK. So if you want to do some hedgehog related fun, I've got some hedgehog related sort of word searches, colouring sheets for kids on there, which is fantastic. You can use those.
Good idea.
Fantastic. So another question. Hooray. Can you put more than one hedgehog house in a garden? I would say yes, you certainly can. When I showed you outside, we do only have the one hedgehog house as such, that we use that for sleeping and for hibernation. We have another hedgehog feeding station, and we keep those separate. It's quite important to do that, especially if the hedgehog's sleeping. You don't want another hedgehog going in for food or something. Not that they should be doing that during the day. But yes, you can put more than one hedgehog house or feeding station in the garden. When we had our plastic crate feeding stations, we put a couple of those down and a hedgehog house. And if you know you've got hedgehogs in the area, they will get used. Give it a bit of time, and they will get used. We've had hedgehogs sleeping in ours, which is wonderful. But yes, you can put more than one hedgehog house in the garden, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, as I say, they're solitary animals, but they're not territorial. They're not going to sort of, there might be a little bit of fighting during the mating season when there's a lot of competition for mates. But yeah, I mean, they're not territorial. They sort of have home ranges, but they don't guard those from other hedgehogs. So yeah, put a few in the garden. We've had emails from people where they've put a hedgehog house in the garden and then there's a hedgehog moves in the same night. So we tell people, oh, put them out, and they need a little bit of time to get used to them. But I mean, the hedgehogs don't really read the rule book, so if you know that they're in the area, it's a really good thing that you can do for them. And it's up to you. I mean, it's how big your garden is, how many you might want in the garden, but yeah, if you wanted to put a couple in there, go for it. Definitely a good idea.
Absolutely. Lovely. And another question related to feeding stations, which is, where did you get your hedgehog feeding station? So where did I get my hedgehog feeding station from? I think I'll have to answer that one. Which
Probably.
So I got the ones you saw outside on the video, which is the wooden ones with the L shape. I got them from this company, which is Riverside Woodcraft. It may be back to front on your screen, so apologies if it is. You can access them online if you just type Riverside Woodcraft into Google or something. They make good hedgehog houses. Other people do as well. You're sort of looking for that type online if you see them. But if you don't want to buy one of those houses, they are good houses, but they're a bit, you can make your own from a plastic crate. So we had old plastic crates with lids, and then you tip it upside down and just carefully cut a 13cm hole in the front of the crate, and make sure you sort of smooth it out with duct tape or something, is what we did. Because you don't want a prickly bit of plastic getting by the hedgehog or anything. So yes, it's important to make sure you do that if you make your own hedgehog feeding station. But yes, you can buy them online from places like Riverside Woodcraft. You can get a couple of different sizes and shapes, or you can make your own. Completely up to you, but have fun if you do that. It's a good DIY project.
It can be a case of I feel like it's a bit of trial and error with keeping cats away as well, because I set one up last summer and I put it in the garden and I was just proud as anything, and then this cat just walked straight into it and I was a bit like, oh, flipping heck. So yeah, it's a case of having a bit of a tunnel on there maybe, so if you've got a bit of like pipe or something so that cats can't get in, or I put a couple of bricks on the inside so that a hedgehog would have to kind of walk around but a cat wouldn't be able to get in. So yeah, we've got advice on hedgehogstreet.org about keeping cats and foxes away, because cats can be quite persistent. They'll just stick their head in if they can smell that food. So
yes, they can indeed. We've had problems with ours too. Merlin, in particular, was on the live stream earlier when I was out in the garden. He appeared multiple times. But yes, I showed everyone on YouTube a bit of footage of Merlin sort of getting in one of the old feeding stations. And I was saying, obviously, that shows the importance of either having an L shape like that, or indeed putting a brick. As you say, excellent idea. We used a brick as well once, just to put that in and make sure that the hedgehogs can get in and eat their food safely, which is great.
Absolutely. I put a little saucer of, like a shallow saucer of water by the entrance as well, because cats don't like getting their paws wet. I read online, so
yeah.
But that's quite nice, because it's going to provide a drink for hedgehogs as well. They don't mind walking through it, to get in there.
We've got plenty of that footage.
Hedgehogs
love it. Yeah, but obviously water is important, and put it outside the feeding station. It works just as well. Fixes two things at once, with the cat situation or wildlife or whatever, and indeed making sure they stay hydrated. Any more questions, please put it in the chat, because we're supposed to finish at about 7:30. If you do have any more questions, we can field them soon. There we go. Ooh, that's gone. And then when you are ready...
Hedgehog Street. Oh, sorry, you froze there.
And we're back. There we go. Hello.
Oh, hiya.
Sorry. There we go. That's all right. Let me just make sure my internet's still working. Yes. Excellent connection. Yes, it's a bit complicated, the technology on this stream. So it's bouncing back and forth different internet connections. So we've got Grace joining us from, UK, but far away still via Zoom. And then that's trying to bounce that through my computer back up to YouTube. So there's a bit of a delay, but it does work, and it has been working so far. So yes, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for putting things in the chat. I'm so glad you enjoyed the event. So what I'll do is I'll just say a few words now just to finish up. So we've come to the end of the event, and thank you again so much to everyone who has joined us live, and for all your interest and questions. And thank you, of course, to anyone who's watching this on catch-up. So this will be saved on the HedgehogAware YouTube channel, and you can wind it back and view everything that's happened, including the chat as well. I do hope you've enjoyed it and have felt inspired to do what you can to help hedgehogs survive and thrive. So my website has lots of information downloadable sheets, etc. To help you take action. And of course you can also visit the Hedgehog Street website, where you can find out more about becoming a hedgehog champion like me, or logging a hedgehog indeed. And you can also make a donation directly to Hedgehog Street through that site at hedgehogstreet.org, because they do some amazing work. So, it just leaves me to say thank you so much to everyone for taking part. Thank you once again to Grace from Hedgehog Street for joining me. And thank you again to everyone watching. I hope you have a great evening. I'll just check through the chat again.
Thank you to you as well, Dylan. Thank you for setting this up. It's such a good idea to kick off Hedgehog Awareness Week. And yeah, you're doing such fantastic work in your garden, but also raising awareness. And it's, you're top hedgehog champion. So yeah, thank you very much for setting this up.
Oh, thank you so much. Not a problem at all. Oh, hang on, we've lost it again. Oh, hang on, we're frozen. There we go. Thank you so much again to everyone. No data, why is this not working? There we go. Apologies. There we go. Apologies if I've frozen there again. They're cutting out, internet's getting a bit tired probably. There we go. And just to answer one final question from Laura, where did we get our cameras from? So we can get the first one that I showed you, the wildlife camera, the trail camera in sort of disguise. We got that one from Amazon, and there's a multitude of different brands that sell them. I think that one's called a Victure, V-I-C-T-U-R-E camera. But there's a multitude of different ones, different sizes, and they all record footage onto a little SD card, which you can plug into your computer or view it on the screen, which is on the camera itself. And again, if you want the other type of camera, which plugs into the wall and has got very good quality, that's the Tapo, T-A-P-O C200 C200. and that's manufactured by TP-Link, and you can buy those on Amazon, and they start at about £20 to £25. But there we go. I'll post some links to cameras and things in the chat afterwards, which is helpful.
I definitely recommend Nature Spy as well. They're a really good organisation. They sell cameras and they're not for profit, and they use that money to fund camera trapping research projects. And this is a bit of a spoiler, but if you keep an eye on the PTS Instagram this week, there might be a competition to win a camera. So,
ooh, nice! I like it.
You heard it here first. Keep an eye out.
That's fantastic. So I just posted a couple of links to that on the chat. Try that. Make sure that worked. Yeah, there we go. There's a couple of links there, including one to Nature Spy, which is fantastic. But hope it all goes well with the giveaway. Hope for lucky winner. But yes, thank you so much to everyone who's joined. Thank you to Grace. Thank you to everyone watching live and on catch up. And I hope you have a great evening. So thank you so much once again for joining. And I'll cut and end the stream now. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Hiya. Is that all? Oh, okay. Yeah. That was so good. You're such a good little presenter of things. We need to get you on like Spring Watch or something as like some kind of young presenter. That was really good. I was running a bit late. I was stuck on a train and I missed the tour of the garden, but I'm definitely going to catch up because I do really want to see it. But yeah, sorry,